Hello everyone, welcome back to Leanne's Crafty Cupboard.
Good morning everyone. I thought I would share with you today my thinking process or how I approach a slow stitch square with a bit of thread painting. So thread painting is where we can take something that's already got a pattern on it but just use thread to add to that picture. So I've got a 4-inch square of fabric here and a larger piece of calico, and the first thing is to stitch it down onto its backing piece. So there's a number of different ways to do this, but I find the easiest just to do a simple running stitch. Just back and forth, back and forth. Well, not back and forth, there's so much as in and out, in, out, in, out. Now I'm using just ordinary sewing cotton for this and just single. It's not doubled up or anything. Just stopping every now and again to smooth it. So I'm just doing all 4 sides to tack it down. Okay, one more side. Okay. Righto. So then I've gone ahead and gathered some supplies, so just some threads. These are the DMC 6-stranded cottons that match the pattern. And I've got an offcut of tulle here to sort of make a 3D element flower. I like to have, some 3D elements to it. I've got some gold beads, little bit of ribbon and a couple of cute buttons. So looking at the piece, you turn it around different ways and think about what you want to feature. So for me, I'd like to feature these flowers here, those ones, and these ones. So sort of that center. Okay, here's sort of not much going on, so I'll probably put a 3D element flower in the corner there. And then you can just keep going and adding more and more. And you maybe stitch in some of the lead detail and stems. So I'm going to start with the big daisy. And one of the easiest ways I think to make a flower that's already on the print stand out is to do backstitch. So backstitch is when you come up one stitch ahead. Okay, so I haven't come up at the center, I've come up one stitch ahead and go back. And then bring your needle up again, one stitch ahead and go back. And so I'm simply going to do this all the way around, all the petals, and this flower to make it stand out. It's sort of like we're tracing the outline of the flower. And I'm just using 2 strands of the 6. So you cut off a length and then separate 2 strands out. I'm right-handed. You can see I work from the right to the left doing backstitch. Okay, when your cotton starts getting knotted like that, you want to let it dangle. Okay, when we get here, can you see this petal is in front of this one that I'm working on, so I'm going to stop. Right there. Oops, I've got a little knot. And then I'm going to travel down to where that overlying petal meets the center. When you're thread painting, you can do as little or as much as you like. So you could, if you wanted to, put straight stitches over every single petal. That's how it's looking. So I'm going to continue off camera to do all the backstitch around this flower.
Good morning, I'm back again. Excuse my pajamas, they're new from my daughter for Mother's Day and they're so exquisitely comfortable. I'm having a little luxuriate in my pajamas before I get changed for today. So the backing the back stitch is done on this flower now. Because these flowers are side by side, I don't want them to have the same treatment because they won't stand out. So can you see what I've been doing here? Just a little embellishment on the petals. This is really simple to do. So about halfway up the petal, come up and then down. So you're just making a line down the center of the petal. Then come up on the outer edge, but lower, a bit lower than the center point. Okay, so it's not as high. And you're going to go in on the other edge of the petal at the same height. This is called a fly stitch, so don't pull it tight. Bring your needle up at the base of the middle stitch you did originally. See my threads here? And that allows us to do those 2 stitches in one. Okay, and then we just go in at the base just to capture that thread down. And it just gives a nice 3D effect to the petals. Let's go again. So center, down to the center part of the petal where it meets the center. Come up on the edge of the petal lower than your center stitch. Put your thumb on the thread and go in on this edge. Don't pull it tight, bring your needle up at the base of that original center stitch. And now take a stitch down to hold that thread down. So this petal behind is a behind petal, so I want it to stay in the background. I don't want to give it this treatment that would bring it to the front. I've got enough thread left for one more, and then we best get another needle. So this is quite a quick treatment to do to flower petals. And pretty effective. Okay, so on the back I just take a little stitch that doesn't go through to the front and loop my needle through twice to knot that. After I've made a knot, I like to bury the end in the fabric a bit, just for extra security. So just like before, I'm still using 2 strands of the 6-stranded cotton, but you could use other things. You could use crewel wool and crochet cotton. I thought I'd keep it simple for this one and just use embroidery cotton, but it is fun to experiment down the track with different textures. The beauty of stitching on fabric that's already printed is it really does train your eye and your hand about flower shapes. Now I've obviously got quite a lot of work here with the daisies because they have lots of petals. So you might like to choose a floral design with a flower that's got less petals. All right, need to look carefully here for a moment. This is quite sort of skinny here, so I'm actually only going to give this a 1-stitch treatment on this one. Because I think the 3 stitches would be too much. And that has got about the same space here as what the other ones do, so that's what helped me make that decision. All right, 1 to go because that's a behind one. I'll just do this one. Okay. Just knot that off so it's ready to go if I want to use it again. Right, let's look at the center. So you can see the center, when we look closely at these sort of flower centers, they look like a series of tiny dots or circles. So this lends itself really well to a French knot. And we can see here it's darker. And then it gets a little bit lighter, and then it's quite light. Now, it will look very sweet if you don't worry about that at all and just fill it with French knots. But what I'm going to do, because I really want this one to stand out, is I'm going to do the darker section in French knots in this thread, and then I'm going to bead the center. Right, so French knot, you come up, wrap the thread around your needle. The more times you wrap it, the bigger the knot will be. Also, the more strands of cotton you use, the thicker the knot will be. Now see how this is quite thin to thicker and thin? I'm going to just do one wrap here and see what it looks like. Yep, I think that's good for the thinner sections. All right, so we come up and place it down on my board. One wrap. See, I'm holding it, the thread with my hand tight. And I pick it up again holding it firmly. Now, when I'm getting to these thicker sections, I have a choice. I can do 2 French knots to fill the space, or I can just try, what if I do more wraps? Will it make it bigger sufficiently? So let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yep, that does the job. One, two, three. One, two, three. One, two, three. Bit of a gap going on there, haven't I? I'm going to come back in there and fill in that gap. And now these ones I'm going to do the 1 wrap again. 1 wrap. One wrap. Just one more. Of course, there's no need to completely fill, so you could actually just leave it at this point if you wanted to. Or you could come in with lighter embroidery thread and keep going with your French knots. Like I said, I want to try the beads. Okay, beading needle. It is super fine. And the thread I use is bottom line thread. Also super fine. So come up, pick up a bead. It's good to work on a felt surface when you're beading because the beads behave a bit better and don't fly all over your table. Okay, now when we just do 1 stitch like that, you can see the center of the bead, the hole. So I'm going to come up beside it again and just do a second pass through it. Now we can see the shiny side of the bead instead of the hole. So I'm going to keep going and filling up the center with beads. Now, beads are one of those things that when you get started they can be expensive to buy. These ones I bought secondhand, and all the yellows were mixed together. So it's probably a good idea when you're starting out to think carefully about what sorts of colours would be most useful for you. And I think probably initially say some yellow or gold beads like this for the centres of flowers, and then maybe your favourite colours that you like to work with. So for me that would be pinks, purples, blues. Now what I'm contemplating doing is using the lighter lemon beads up over the top. Not sure. I'll keep filling in the gold ones for the minute. I feel that one's a bit wobbly. Give them another stitch. So I'm at home at the moment. I'm actually recovering from major surgery I had a week ago. And it was so cute. I had all my stitchy projects sorted to take with me, because I figured for the 5 days I'd have to spend in hospital, I would need something to keep me entertained and my mind off things. And I wasn't up to stitching. I didn't feel like doing anything much at all. So I'm really, really happy that 1 week later that I have got the urge again. I'm recovering well. I I just am so grateful to medical science and what it can achieve, and the surgeons that spend so much of their life learning their craft. Their use of scissors, needle and thread is certainly a bit more useful than what we do here, isn't it? And the care that the nurses take. What beautiful people. If you're a nurse and you're watching, thank you for your work. I am just so grateful for the kindness and the care taken. It does make a big difference to the healing process. So yeah, I'd pre-recorded a couple of videos and uploaded those to go online while I was out of action. That was the lovely stitchery swap. So I showed you the square I received from Kathy and the little square I made for her. Because this thread's so fine, I might just do a second knot, just to be sure, Okay, now let's talk about other center treatments. So we did French knots and we did beading. You could do one or the other or both like I did. You can do something as simple as finding a cute button and putting that down. Looks very cute. You can layer buttons. You can also just do what's called satin stitch, which is just straight stitches side by side over the center. But I do find if you're a beginner that that's a bit hard to get neat. Righto. Let's look at these pink flowers here. Now they're quite tiny, so I'm going to just do lazy daisy stitches over their petals. Okay, so come up at the center. And and go back in the center and come out at the edge of your petal. Can you see I've got my thumb over the thread? So the needle's going to go over to catch that thread down. Don't pull too tightly or you'll lose your petal shape. And we go down to anchor it down. And it's easy as that. Come up at the center. Use your thumb to hold the thread down. In at the center, come out at the edge of the petal. Don't pull too tight. Now where it becomes hard to sort of work out petals because it's just a mess of colours, just make it up. Now can you see that up here it's sort of lighter pink? So I'm actually just going to use a lighter pink if I have some. I'll have to undo that. So on the top petals I'm just going to do some lighter pink. Flowers look better when you do an uneven number of petals. So I'm going to do 5 on these. Can you see I turn my work around so that the end of the petal is near this thumb? Now I don't have to get a lighter pink, I could just do it all the same. But I just think the lighter pink will give it a bit of life. Now over here, these are more viewed side on, so we can't see all the petals. I'm just going to go one petal there. One petal this way. Oops, run out of thread. Okay, I've got some pink thread. same stitch. So this is the other thing that a pre-printed fabric helps us with, the light and shade. So obviously the light source is above, and so the petals on top are going to be lighter, and I can see that where they've been painted pale pink. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed spending time at my crafty cupboard, please come back again. I post new videos every Saturday. See you again.